Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and I am so excited to be here with this stamp set today. Yay! It is new from the Essentials by Ellen line. It is just released today, and it is called Mermaid Tales. And let me just tell you, this has some awesome sentiments. There's some really encouraging sentiments as well as some snarky ones like mermaids don't have thigh gaps. And it has this coordinating die set. Now, I've known about this stamp and die set for a little while now because I actually requested that it be made. I talked to my friend Julie Ebersole and I was like, please make me a giant mermaid tail so I can use it on my cards. And she delivered, and boy, it is amazing. So you can kind of see the scale of this mermaid tail here, and it is perfect for an A2 size card to be the focal point. And this stamp and die set has a different feel than any of the other mermaid kind of stamp sets that are out there. And I love that this lends itself to so many different techniques. I have a million ideas for making these tails just fabulous. So I'm starting out with some Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock. I'm stamping my mermaid tail in some Versamark ink onto this cardstock, and then I'm coating it in some super fine detail white embossing powder, and then I'm going to ink it up again and stamp it. I haven't heat set it yet. I went ahead and stamped and coated 6 of these mermaid tails with some embossing powder, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to heat set them all at once. This gives my heat tool a chance to get nice and hot, and it saves me a little bit of time rather than kind of putting away the embossing powder and restamping and heating and all that. So I'm going to make several of these cards today. The cards themselves are going to be pretty simple, but I wanted the focus to be on these awesome mermaid tails. So I have a couple of mermaid tails here that I just die cut from some watercolor cardstock because I wanted to kind of practice my watercolor before I went in onto my embossed pieces. And I actually ended up using these on cards as well, but they don't have the embossed pattern on them like the other ones. I'm just kind of testing out and making sure I like the colors here. I have smushed my mini distress ink cubes onto a piece of clear plastic. And then I've just wet the mermaid tail and I'm coming in and dropping in color, and that water on the paper allows that ink to kind of move around. Now, distress inks are perfect for watercolor techniques. You get a really nice intensity of color. They move really well with the water. And you can see here that as these dry a little bit, the colors dry back also. And I'm just going in and intensifying some of those colors. So once I was sure I kind of liked some of these color combinations that I was going with, I went into the embossed tails and I started adding some colors. Now on this one, I used picked raspberry and abandoned coral, and I kind of get this variation of this corally orangey pink along with that really nice bright pink. And I'm just dropping in the color, and you can see where I've embossed the pattern. That is resisting the color. Now I did let all of these air dry, and so I didn't heat set them. You can heat set them to speed along the process, but I was really glad that I just allowed these to dry on their own. So I'm going to create a variety of tails, and I'm going to do some that are just a couple of colors, some that are a few colors. This one I'm actually doing in a rainbow, and I am going to list all the colors that I used over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com along with the pictures. But here is where I fell in love with the color. This is called Mermaid Lagoon. I had never used it before. It's not super new as far as distress inks are concerned, but I love that color. And you can see on that blue one, I mixed it with the peacock feathers, and it is gorgeous. Now for the card bases, I am using some Essentials by Ellen linen cardstock just to give it a little bit of texture, and I am using this watercolor stamp from Tim Holtz. You can see in my mini Misty there, I took out that black foam. That's because I am using a clear mount rubber stamp, so it has the foam on the stamp already. And I'm going to stamp all of these card bases using some Altenew Mountain Mist ink. I think this is a beautiful kind of pool color ink. It is one of my favorites. It's kind of a go-to for me now. In fact, this whole collection of Altenew inks is kind of a go-to for me. But I'm going to stamp all 8 card bases at once. And then I'm going to add the sentiments. So because the sentiments are clear stamps, I'm going to go ahead and replace that black foam back into my mini Misty, and then mount each of these sentiments onto the Misty lid and stamp them in some archival ink. Now, I left all of the stamping of the sentiments in this video because I wanted you to see the awesome variety of sentiments that are in this stamp set. So I started out with Just Keep Swimming. That speaks to me where I'm at, and I think it makes a perfect encouragement card. Sometimes you just are keeping your head above water, and that's okay. The next one says, if you need me, call me on my shell phone. This one says, I'm done adulting, let's be mermaids. And then I'm moving on to this one that says, mermaids don't have thigh gaps. You all know they don't have thigh gaps, and they're beautiful, right? So this one might be my favorite, and it says, I want to be where the people aren't. I mean, sometimes you just feel like that, right? And then I'm moving on to this one, which says, make waves. So you can see the variety of sentiments in the stamp set really make it versatile. I love the mix of snarky sentiments with encouraging sentiments. There's more sentiments that I didn't even use, like seize the day and no grit, no pearl. So I just really think this is a fun stamp set. Julie did an awesome job on it. Now that all my tails are dry, I'm going to use the coordinating die to cut them out. And while I was kind of processing my next step with the tails, I went ahead and added a little bit of shimmer to all of these watercolor swooshes that I did across the bottom of my card. This kind of represents the water. And I added my sparkle with my Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen. I decided to use my Wink of Stella because I like the brush on that one a lot, and I haven't used it in a while. Now, to give my mermaid tails some super sparkle and shine, I am going to use this iridescent glitter dust from Thermoweb, and I'm going to spray the heck out of these things. You can see I put them in a shoebox to protect my work surface. It does kind of mist around. It might be better to do this outside. It's kind of like spray paint. I'm pretty sure I had glitter boogers after this. And if you've used spray paint, you know what I'm talking about. You get those colored boogers. Well, mine were glittery, I'm sure. And you can see the good dousing I'm giving. Now, because I sprayed this on so thick, it took forever for them to dry, but that's okay. I am left with this clear, shiny coat over the entire top. It almost looks like I covered them in clear embossing powder, and all of that had some iridescent glitter mixed in. Now, I saw the glitter dust used by Christina Werner, and I decided I needed to have it. So that's where I got the idea for that, and I am not disappointed. And while those tails dried, I'm going to use a stand-in tail to adhere my clear droplets onto my card. And you can see I'm actually using some Tonic Nouveau glitter drops to adhere my clear droplets onto my card. And what that does is it gives me a little bit of that blue sparkle behind the bubbles, and I just thought it was really fun. I kind of experimented with it. I haven't tried to mail them yet, but it seemed to adhere pretty well. So to adhere all of my tails onto my cards, I'm going to use these mini action wobblers. I'm going to take the backer off of that clear, kind of more solid plastic part and place that onto the back of my tail. And through some experimentation, I found that it was actually better to put that action wobbler at a little bit of an angle on the back of my die cut. It just allowed it to move and kind of flip around a little bit more. And then I just removed the backer from the other side of that action wobbler and adhered it to my card front. And you can see the fun interactive element that that action wobbler really adds to this card. I actually was inspired to use the action wobbler after Julie sent me the first card that she ever made with this stamp set, and she had used that action wobbler. I just thought it was so much fun. So here's a look at all of the cards that I created, some various color combinations, and I'll be sure to list all of those color combinations over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. So if you find one that you like, you know which colors I used. I'll also have a complete list of supplies that I used on these projects over at my blog as well. I will have links to the featured supplies in the description at YouTube, so be sure to check that out. And all of these mermaid tails have that really beautiful clear gloss finish with that iridescent sparkle in them. It's really hard to capture in the video or on camera, but this rainbow tail kind of gives you a little idea of that sparkle that's on there. Thanks for stopping by today. I really hope you enjoyed these projects. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so that you won't miss any of my card making tutorials. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.